We've all played mobile games, right? Like games on your phone. I sure have. I don't have as much time nowadays to play games on a console, and I don't have a good enough computer to play games on PC. But my phone is with me all the time, so when I find a good new mobile game, I take the opportunity to try it out. And if you've been watching any YouTube recently, you'll know that there's a really popular mobile game out right now called Raid Shadow Legends. It's almost a meme at this point, to be honest. Pretty much every YouTuber has promoted the game in one way or another through ads on their videos. So after hearing ad after ad after ad, I finally decided to check it out for myself. So I downloaded Raid Shadow Legends and I played it. I mean, it was fine. Wasn't the worst game I've ever downloaded, but it wasn't the best, just kind of a basic turn-based strategy with fantasy themes. I played it on and off for about a day or two, and then I deleted it. Not really my cup of tea. A few days later, I was on my phone. I was probably answering emails or texts or something like that, and I noticed something. Something that was kind of strange. I saw that Raid Shadow Legends was still installed. Now, in the moment, I found it odd, but not too odd. Maybe I thought I deleted it, but I didn't, or maybe it reinstalled during a phone update or something. So I deleted it again and went about my day. But wouldn't you know it, the very next day I look at my phone and there it is once again. Raid Shadow Legends, like a bad ad read. So I deleted it again. Now I was paying attention. My first inkling that something was kind of wrong here. I paid attention to the apps on my phone for the next few days, checking every page and every folder every so often. Until finally, 2 days later, there it was, on the last page of my phone. Raid Shadow Legends. Now, this was starting to seem less like a meme and more like, I don't even know. Was it some kind of spyware or virus or something? Maybe the company was using this app to farm data and it was programmed to reinstall if someone tried getting rid of it. I googled the issue, trying to see if anyone else was having the same problem, but no one was. I decided to leave it on my phone until I figured out what to do next. And then a day later, I finally got curious enough to reopen the app. Who knows, maybe it wouldn't even open. It could be completely glitched out. I tapped on it, and I was taken to the main menu just like normal. Everything seemed to be working so far. I tapped to start playing, but rather than the usual screen with a few fantasy characters facing off against each other, I was instead greeted to just one character. One character on a background I didn't really recognize. It wasn't a dungeon or a castle like I saw it was before, and the character wasn't one I was familiar with during my time playing the game either. It wasn't one of the elves, the horde, the knight, or an orc or anything like that. The rest of the characters, for the most part, were colorful, somewhat cartoony, childlike. This one was different. It resembled a humanoid-looking creature, but its eyes were hollow. The skin on its face was pale, and it looked like it was melting off, like hot cheese dripping off its skull. Its arms and legs were out of proportion. They were too long, and the hands and feet were too big. The animation showed it lurching forward, limping ahead over and over again, moving toward a destination that would never come. It looked horrible. It looked like something you'd see out of a AAA horror game or movie, not some free-to-play mobile game. There were no prompts or anything either. No moves, no turns, no gameplay, no pause menu. It was just walking forward. The dark, obscure background behind it moving along with it as if it was on some virtual treadmill. I watched it for a bit, almost mesmerized by it and its movements. The animation was much smoother than anything else in the game. It looked almost real. I snapped out of it and closed the app. Maybe my game got glitched and I accessed some content that wasn't out yet, or a character you could buy, or an updated version of the game. It just seemed so odd. I was about to delete the game yet again, but I stopped myself. I would keep it for now. Besides, if I had some not yet released content, that could be pretty valuable, right? I went about my day and almost forgot about my apparently glitched version of Raid: Shadow Legends until right about as I was going to bed. Now, call me a masochist or a horror enthusiast, but there's something that I like about seeing something creepy right before bedtime. And that character in my game was sure as hell creepy. So I tapped on the app and it took me right to the game screen. That creepy-ass thing still lumbering along. But there was something different. The background changed a little bit. Now it looked like he was heading towards a castle or a building or something with its windows lit up in the distance. I still couldn't stop looking at it, how real it was. How horrific. I took my eyes off my phone for a second and flicked off my bedside light. When I looked back at the screen, the background had changed again. The lights that were in the building that the creature was moving towards had gone off. I stared at the screen for a long time. I reached over to flick my light back on just to see if the game would change again. You're crazy. You're exhausted and your mind is playing tricks on you. Or maybe, just maybe, the game is using the daylight sensor in the phone to react to changes in light. I changed my mind at the last second and didn't flick on the light. Just talking it over and rationalizing it in my head made me feel a little bit better. I closed the app and I put my head on the pillow to rest. I tried to sleep, but there was this nagging feeling in my brain. Something that wouldn't let me shut down for the night. I grabbed my phone, leafed over to Raid: Shadow Legends, and started it up. And what I saw made my blood run cold. The creature was still moving forward as it was before, but now the background wasn't so obscure. It was a little too clear. That thing, that monster, was on a residential street. My street. And in the back, I saw what looked to be my house. What the hell was this? Were they using some kind of Google imaging or GPS mapping to recreate the player's surroundings? I went right into the settings to see if Raid: Shadow Legends was using GPS data. But it didn't even show up as being installed on my phone. Now I was freaking out. I rushed to my bedroom window, which overlooked the street. I tried to peer outside to see if anything was coming up the block, but there was nothing. Nothing in the distance and nothing being illuminated by the streetlights. I sat on my bed. My heart started to beat faster and faster. This could not be happening. I opened the app again and looked at what the creature was doing on the screen. To my horror, it had stopped moving. It had stopped moving right in front of my front door. I slowly made my way to the window to see if I could spot anything at the door. Why the hell didn't I get a video doorbell sooner? I couldn't see anything. Now this was getting out of control. I sat down on my bed again and closed the app. But once I did, I heard my front door burst open. followed by the sound of rapid footsteps moving through my house and up the stairs. Quickly, I opened the app again. As soon as it started up, the noise stopped. I looked at my screen. The creature was still, and it looked like it was right outside my bedroom door. I saw it lift up one disfigured hand, and then, as long as I keep the app open, maybe it can't get me. The only problem is my charger isn't working, and my phone is at 6%. A word of advice: don't download Raid Shadow Legends.
These past few years. One of the main reasons I signed up for Shudder was the 2019 horror anthology series Creepshow, which is technically a continuation of the horror movies of the same name. I very much am a sucker for anthology type horror movies and shows. If it's in anthology format, I'll almost always give it a chance, and I also tend to be a lot more forgiving when internally reviewing these types of shows and movies. I enjoyed the VHS series. Yes, I enjoyed all 3 of them. I know they weren't beacons of cinema or anything, but I was entertained by every installment in the series. I also like the ABCs of Death series, Trick or Treat, All Hallows Eve, which is a very underrated horror anthology movie.